talk to y'all about how babies lose heat and how we need to keep them warm. Babies lose heat because they have thin skin and their blood vessels are really close to the surface. They lack the ability to shiver like we do. They have limited metabolic substances like glucose and fat to keep them warm and insulated. They lack the ability to move, so they won't be able to put clothes on and cover up. And they lack the ability to communicate, to tell you that they're cold. I'm going to give y'all this to look at. And just pass it around. And then I also have it up here, big when we go over it. The first one we're going to go over is conduction, and that's when the baby is touching another object directly, such as this object would be cold, and their body heat goes to the cold object. And this example would be like cold mattresses or cold hands. The next one is convection. That's the body surface to a cooler surrounding air. The air circulates over the body surface, which would be this one, such as air conditioner or fan, or even a cold door being open and the air moves over the baby and the baby loses heat. And then the next one is evaporation, which is where the liquid on the baby evaporates and they lose heat that way. And this can happen whenever the mom has the baby and they have an amniotic fluid on them, and it can happen whenever they give them a bath, and they have to be dried immediately. And then the last one is radiation. It's where body heat to cooler solid surfaces to their surroundings, like a cold window, and it pulls the heat away from the baby. Can I have any questions?
What can we do to keep the baby warm?
And that's what we're about to go over next.
Okay.
And then the first one we're going to go over is conduction. We're going to prevent this from happening by laying a warm cloth over any cold objects that they touch. And then we can do this also by putting a warm cloth diaper on them instead of it being cold. And then we can also put skin to skin on mother. So baby laying on the mother's stomach can also bring heat back to the baby. And then the next one with convection, we're going to keep them out of cool drafts such as open doors or fans. And we're going to keep them away from that because that makes them lose heat. And then with evaporation, I said earlier, we're going to dry them immediately after giving them a bath. And we also want to change their diapers immediately because that cold, wet diaper can make them lose heat. And then with radiation, we're going to keep the cribs away from cold windows or any like cold objects to keep them from losing heat. Do you have any questions on that? Everyone okay? We also have a question of why this is important. It's important because babies can get cold stress, which means they get under a lot of stress when they're cold. And this can deplete their fat stores that they have, which is already not enough as what we have. And then it increases their oxygen need, and they become into respiratory distress. They can also become jaundice, which means their liver is producing a lot of glucose to support their overproduction of oxygen, and they can become hypoxic, and this all leads to death. So we want to prevent this from happening.